No, the CO2 conference has been going on for 25 years. Several hundred people have been involved in the planning, presentations, and the field trips. In the midst of all this, the central figure is a unique person, Steve Melzer. And Steve is significant because he attends a lot of other conferences. He does a lot of presentations for others, and he makes his network work. So we bring in speakers that he's met from other places. So I don't know if we would describe Steve as a matchmaker or a pollinator, but Steve is in this CO2 world, making connections, learning what other people are doing, the science and technology behind this. So he is a unique person, and we've really benefited from his participation and his leadership in the enhanced oil recovery industry.
Steve Melzer has a brilliant mind, is a wonderful man, and has been very kind to me. And he, in my mind, is just a gentleman and a scholar. And I'm really glad that I got to be involved with Steve and with this conference.
What keeps people coming back to this conference is it's grounded in practicality. And people that come here want to meet other people involved with CO2 flooding, and they want to share as well as get information on how to make their flood better. And really, people who come here are very good at sharing, being open. I give a lot of credit to Steve for how well this conference goes, because he brings a lot of people together to help in the planning, but we all know that he's the one that's driving the bus most of the times. He has a lot of good support folks, but he tends to go out and get the people to come to the conference in terms of presenters. Yeah, he tries to wrangle people into presenting things that maybe they otherwise might not present. And his contacts that he has in the industry are just superior to anyone else's.
Well, Steve Melzer he's a gem. He is a brilliant man, and he is so active and so involved in all aspects of oil and gas research and CO2 in particular, but practical solutions. That ideas come up in this conference, and in a couple of years, you're reading papers and having presentations that were generated by the conversations that were had a couple of years ago. So he is a fantastic individual and a dynamo, and I count him as one of my prime mentors and a good friend.
Steve's the glue that binds it all together. Steve's the guru, man. He's who you come to. And he knows everybody. He's networked very extensively throughout the local community, but the international community as well. And I think that his personality, his expertise, his practical insights, all combined together to make him kind of that unique piece in the middle that it all kind of sticks. I think without Steve, it probably wouldn't have lasted this long, and it'd been something different by now.
Well, I think that Steve's kind of local involvement in the oil and gas community in Midland, and his dedication to expanding the understanding of CO2 flooding, especially with the ROZ now, is probably what's kept it going. We've had a lot of good times for CO2 when oil price is high and people can spend capital, and a lot of hard times where they can't. And Steve's been there kind of that whole time to really show people what's the next innovation we need to think about. How do we keep getting oil out of this rock that we've been already getting it out for so long?
So the conference has really fit a very nice niche here in the Permian. And this conference has been able to meet some of the challenges that the operators have faced. It allows for a great networking opportunity to get everybody who's doing that work to come together. A lot of work has been going on now with the CO2 carbon capture initiatives, and this conference kind of took that under its wing, kind of put those both together, really created a nice synergistic feel for both of those, and it's done really good things for not only the industry, but for Midland as well. Steve has been tremendous. He really has. It's been a real pleasure to get to know Steve Melzer. Like I said, I was introduced to him back in probably the early 2000s when I first got involved with this conference. It was a real pleasure to be on the board of the CO2 conference, to get to know Steve. He's been a friend, He's been a mentor that I certainly look up to through my career. And I just really have appreciated the opportunity to get to know him. He's been a tremendous leader, a cheerleader for this conference. And man, I wish him the best as we celebrate this 25th year.
Well, I've known Steve Meltzer, for probably last year and a half, and got involved with him more on the ROZ side, looking at the complexities in the St. Andreas formation and how to apply our technologies to help operators get better results. You know, getting people from different companies, different organizations together to talk through, hey, what are you doing? You know, it's one of those, we have an industry that sometimes people don't share too well because it's their competitive advantage, but it's so complex that nobody can kind of master it on their own, kind of learn what everybody's thinking. And when they come together, and this is the 25th year, so it obviously has value or it wouldn't still be around. But now that, you know, they've made it this far, you know, it's a mechanism to share ideas and how can each of the companies get. My whole career has been pushed forward through networking, you know, leveraging relationships and trying to get to the right answer. And Steve's really, really good at that. He's a master networker and is always looking at what can we do to push the industry forward, make things better, make things more effective.
In terms of this particular conference, I think it is an incredible testament to how much passion Steve has for it and how much he has for the basin as a whole and that interest in sharing. I mean, I think he's an extraordinary individual, and Midland and the industry are both very lucky to have him.
I've been in this business since 1981, in the oil and gas business. I have enjoyed the CO2 side of the business more than any other side of the business I've ever been in. And it's because it's good, hardworking, smart people. And Steve is a perfect example of that. Steve is very smart. You're really on the cutting edge of things. And you know, he's worked hard all of his life. And you know, people have learned and made a lot of money off a lot of Steve's ideas and hard work.
Steve and I have worked on the CO2 Conference board since 2001, but in addition, he and I have been working together closely on residual oil zones and now the DURAS, the horizontal St. Andreas, and going forward, our understanding of what's going to make the future of the Permian Basin bright. There's a number of reasons, but you know, like I said, it's the breadth of the subject matter that we cover, from governmental issues, Q45, field trips to fields, case studies, all these things. If it were focused on just one of those, I don't think it would have been anywhere near as successful. And so it's the breadth that makes this conference unique. Steve is absolutely unique. He's such a go-getter. If it weren't for him, the CO2 conference, I doubt would have been anywhere near as successful as it is. His knowledge of the subject matter, his contacts, basin-wide, states-wide, worldwide, is unique. There's just no one else that could have done this except Steve.
One of the main benefits here, other than what you hear, is also networking with the people that are here, where people actually tell you what has happened, what they have done, how they have benefited from certain things, and you can carry those back with you. Steve Meltzer has been fantastic. I mean, from the very beginning, of course, he was one of the originators and continues to be the primary spark plug in the conference. Done a tremendous job. Steve's got a tremendous way of relating to people, and he understands every part of the business, so he can bring the office, the technical side, and the field side together and combine those people. He's a great people person.
Steve, thanks. You just show a way to do it. You don't put on any airs. We need somebody to show leadership, and you've done it year after year after year without a lot of thanks and praise, which actually I think kind of suits you.
I've been coming for 15 years, members of the firm for longer than that. We're a sponsor of the CO2 Flooding Conference, and we currently act on the steering committee with Steve. This is probably my favorite conference that I go to, and I go to a lot of them, and I chair a lot of them. When Steve says he's bringing together the office and the field, he really is doing it. It's not just window dressing. From my point of view and from the industry's point of view, getting the people to talk about these case studies is paramount to transferring the technology and the understanding of actually what went right, what went wrong, and what we can learn from this and move it forward in the industry. And Steve, in the past, it's been seminal in the terms of the residual oil zone work that he's done, not only for EOR, but for this horizontal depressuring cases in Yoakum County. Getting the people in the room to talk about it, transfer it to the other operators that are trying to do it. There's very few conferences like this out there. Steve, congratulations on 25 years, and if your lovely wife allows you, we're looking forward to 25 more.
Hey, Steve. I've looked forward to making the journey to Midland every December since 2009, my first year at the conference. The content keeps getting better and better every year, and it's clear you've accomplished something that's very special in terms of fostering an environment of not competition, but collaboration. It's clear to me that you are a pioneer in every sense of the word, and that you always have been, and that you care not only about the industry, but the people in it. Congratulations from myself, John Haryu, Ed Stedman, Steve Hawthorne, and the others at the ERC, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. Congratulations again on 25 years.
Steve, I just want to take a minute and thank you as we celebrate this 25th anniversary of the CO2 Conference. Thank you for all your efforts, and I want to thank you as well for including me on the organizing committee for all these years. What a privilege that's been for me to work with that team, and particularly to work with you and the work we've done together consulting-wise and at EORI. I'm very grateful, Steve, for all that. Mostly, I'm grateful today for your friendship, for your support in my career, for the projects and work we've done together outside of this conference and for this conference. So I just congratulate you, Steve, you and your family, and I remain just very, very grateful for the years we've worked together. Thank you, Steve, for everything.